Paradise Nutrition is now open. Craving flavor and fitness? We've got you covered. Loaded teas, protein-packed shakes, gourmet coffees, and refreshing drinks. From our signature Jimmy Buffett tea to Reese's shake, Paradise Nutrition has over 600 flavor combos. Need energy? Appetite control? We've got add-ons like boba, biotin, collagen, and probiotics. Plus, try our donut whole shot appetite suppressant. Paradise Nutrition, Pier Park, next to Target.
Here at Tracy's Fine Jewelry, we're here to help you celebrate the graduate in your life with a personalized gift that expresses who she is to that special touch that symbolizes her style. Tracy's Fine Jewelry has a perfect gift that's as unique as your graduate, including monogram milestones that will personalize her style with a special touch that she will cherish for a lifetime. Let's celebrate the class of 2025 with a gift from Tracy's Fine Jewelry. Tracy's Fine Jewelry, putting a sparkle on Bay County for over 50 years.
Is your car pulling left or right? Do your tires look like they're losing their roundness? These are all symptoms that your car is in need of an alignment. Here at Alford Tire and Service Center, we offer all sorts of services, including alignments just for $89.99, which is backed by our nationwide warranty and easy financing options. If your vehicle feels like it's steering you off the road, let us steer you back in the right direction. Located on Tyndall Parkway in beautiful Callaway, we do it all at Alford Tire and Service Center.
Whether you're an experienced investor or first-time buyer, Beach House will provide you with top-notch service to guide you through every step of the process. We make the real estate process fun and easy through effective marketing, strategic advertising, and always a client-focused experience. From single-family homes to full-scale developments, Beach House Sales Development has you covered. Check them out at beachhousesalesfl.com or give them a call at 850-919-3500.
Powered by Panama City Toyota. Your home for Auburn Tiger basketball. WGSX Lynn Haven. WPLQ Port St. Joe. ESPN Northwest Florida. Broadcasting from the Gulf Plus. It's the Inside Drive. It's the next evolution of sports talk radio. The biggest stories and the biggest reactions.
Now.
And now we're taking...
With the first pick.
The last ball you got in the bag.
The Inside Drive. From college to the pros. Interviews with the newsmakers, sports betting, your phone calls, and more. And now, The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey on ESPN Northwest Florida.
And good Tuesday morning. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. 104.3 in Panama City and Panama City Beach. 101.9 in Port St. Joe. Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Just search it up, ESPN Northwest Florida. 3 great local shows live every day. You can watch and listen live or watch and listen after the fact. That's the Coach James Hale Show from 7 to 9 o'clock in the morning. Of course, us on the Inside Drive from 11 to 1. And, of course, the Afternoon Underdogs from 4 to 6 p.m. Make sure you follow, subscribe, like, all those wonderful things. And, of course, you can download our free mobile app inside the Google Play or Apple Store. All you got to do on that one is search 104.3, and it'll pop up. That way you can take us live streaming and all our other great programming here on ESPN Northwest Florida, wherever you go. And then last but not least, you can listen live on our website, ESPNPC.com. But while you're there, sign up for Scorpion TV. You got to watch out for those stingers, but Scorpion TV will certainly give you a less sting on your bank account there. I was trying to find a pun and struggled a little bit there.
Well, what kind of a sound does a scorpion make?
I don't know if they make sounds.
I don't think they do.
When I stepped on that
if
one,
there's anyone who would know, it would be James.
Not a whole lot of sounds. If you get some of the bigger ones, they can make a slight hissing sound, but the ones around here, not really.
yeah, we kind of got the...
Like a cat hissing sound, or just like a snake?
It's just basically like it's just deflating
That
itself.
was the sound that you made was a cat.
That's solid. That's solid. You should create that as a sounder, and we can get every time you say Scorpion TV, you can play the James fight.
There you go.
Or whatever it was. But yeah, Scorpion TV with code ESPN or ESPNNW. Only $41.99 a month. I guarantee that's better streaming than you have now, and for a heck of a lot less in the price. Everybody continues to go up. YouTube TV, Hulu, Netflix, all these programs continue to go up and up and up. But we've got you covered. They may change their names every once in a while, but right now it is indeed Scorpion TV. So sign up at ESPNPC.com. Look at the top of the page. Click the link. Follow the instructions. Use code ESPNNW. I'm going to start with some breaking news this morning. This is from the official Tiger Woods Twitter account.
Breaking news.
I can't believe I am saying this, but a few weeks after rupturing my left Achilles, the sleeping in a hyperbaric chamber plus the explosive lifts my doctors and trainers have had me ready to play the Masters next week. Can't wait to see y'all on the course. So Tiger Woods going to be out there at Augusta National
That's
next
pretty
week.
quick for an Achilles, man.
Oh my goodness gracious, it's crazy. I mean, I got pregnant last night too as well.
I figured you were
Did you
looking
already
at-
have it?
Yeah,
I missed the
due
gender
tomorrow.
reveal.
It's
okay.
a 1 month pregnancy. No big deal.
I missed the gender reveal.
Oh,
I didn't get invited.
Well, like the pregnancy happened last night. The baby's going to be due tomorrow, and
So we need to plan the
also-
party tonight?
Well,
Actually,
we also
we'll do it on the air.
I've got the next 50 states lined up to be the 52 through 101 because I guess Greenland is.
That's like 52, because Canada's going to be 51, right?
They don't seem too happy about it. The
No, but
Greenlanders, I think,
Greenland,
won on. They're all in.
ready.
They're all in.
They're ready for it. But yeah, I'm looking. I'm prospecting out there. I'm like a scout for baseball, but I'm looking for states.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. But speaking of baseball, obviously this kind of broke during your show yesterday afternoon, I think, David Hayes. But the Braves, who are obviously off to a
Don't do it.
really rough start, 0-5 after losing to the Dodgers last night, but took a bigger hit with their lineup as well as Jurickson, if I pronounced that correctly.
Jurickson, yeah.
Jurickson, okay. The enunciation is key in a lot of these names.
It's kind of like Monroe or Monroe.
Yeah.
Even though both of them
Montgomery,
sound alike.
Montgomery. It just depends on what part of the country you're from, I guess. But anyway, I'm sure everybody already knows, but got to mention it. He's obviously been given a 80-game suspension due to a PUD violation, or PED. PUD is a personal use discount in the golf world when you order something PUD, which is good.
You would
'cause
have liked that.
yeah, a lot of these companies offer.
He needs that golf discount now.
Well, and you think, with using some PEDs that maybe he would have played a little better baseball, but who knows? Who knows? But anyway, he is officially out. I think his suspension started yesterday and has an 80-game suspension, so he'll be back obviously sometime, July-ish?
Yeah, but he can't play in the playoffs.
Yeah, no postseason for him.
Dang.
Which is, we talked about this a little bit yesterday on the afternoon underdogs, but it's kind of wild. And Coach Haddad and James both had their sentiments that, make sense. It's like, all right, well, you're not going to pop positive for PEDs and then miss the first half of the season, stay healthy, and then, get to the opportunity to play in the postseason. But dadgummit, man, come on.
And still, my question is, and I asked this question last night on the afternoon underdogs, when was this test taken?
Yeah.
Did he take this test before he signed the contract with the Braves?
That's a
And
great
if
question.
so, do the Braves have any recourse to get any of that cash back?
If I only knew the answers to those questions.
Where's my money, man?
That's right. That is right. But yeah, so obviously, not the greatest start, not the greatest news if you're an Atlanta Braves fan, which I know we have a lot here in the Florida Panhandle, as we are an affiliate of your Atlanta Braves. I believe the second game of the Dodger series coming up tonight, late tonight, right?
Same time, 7:55, 9:10 first pitch. We like to keep Randy up around here.
There you go. There you go. Absolutely. I want to mention a story coming out of my alma mater. I'm pretty excited about this one. And, I kind of understand the motive a little bit. Maybe not. Maybe not. But if you didn't hear the news, I actually kind of initially thought it might have been an early April Fool's joke, as they've been all over the place recently. If you were on Facebook, everything, you got to question everything today. Always keep your head on a swivel on April 1st. But anyway, Coastal Carolina announced that all concessions will be free at home football games this fall. Fans can get 4 items per concession visit: hot dogs, nachos, popcorn, and fountain drinks, with no limit on the number of in-game visits. Obviously, that does not include alcoholic beverages. But
Say what?
yeah, that would be.
Could you imagine the loss that you'd be taking there? But
Well, and it's
I was gonna
illegal.
say the
You can-
gain that you would get from selling like regular things. Wait, you can't give away alcohol?
You can't, events, you can't have, unless it's like a private event where you have an open bar or something like that. Cause
like a party?
Yeah, because I know at the golf course with the liquor laws here anyway, you can't, we're going to give away alcohol today.
What?
Because obviously it's a liability.
Yeah, I know, but it would also be like, hey, we're going to make y'all spend money today. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's a lot easier
Absolutely.
to spend spend that
Those
money.
inhibitions lowered a little bit there, but yeah, what do you guys think about obviously Coastal kind of molding a little bit after that Mercedes-Benz fan-friendly menu, which we've talked about at length here on the Inside Drive.
Are they doing anything with ticket prices? Like, are they making the ticket prices go up to reflect?
I doubt it, because I think they're probably, I mean,
It's kind of like the point to give away the concessions is to get butts in the seats.
yeah.
Has Coastal
But they
Carolina
should do
had issues with attendance on games? Because I know, like, Middle Tennessee for a couple of years in the 2000s was doing odd and end things like having free Outcast concerts after the game when somebody paid for a ticket, because MTSU got the letter from the NCAA that, hey, you're not keeping up with attendance. You have to have X number of seats sold or you fall back down to 1AA.
Yeah, that could be it. I know they get big attendance for like their rivalry games and stuff like that, App State, James Madison, stuff like that. But yeah, just all the other games, not necessarily. So that could be the case, because they went up to FCS not too long ago when they joined the Sun Belt Conference. So they may be flirting with that attendance.
Flirting with that attendance number.
So they're like, hey, we need to get, what's a good way to get seats, or butts in seats? Just give away some free food.
Hey, give me a hot dog.
Yeah,
I'll show up.
or four. All at once.
I think that's what the craziest part is there's really no limit. It's per time that you go. So, I mean, for kids, this is great.
Yeah, that's
right?
fantastic for kids.
We'll see how it works out. Will it get to a point where, I hate to say this because you went there, but like prominent in football, like the Ohio States, the Michigans.
Yeah,
Let me
I
just
would
try to
be
name as many schools as I can before I get to the one that matters the most.
Auburn?
In Alabama. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
I love talking about 4-win teams.
Well, we're still in the Final Four, but that's okay.
Hey,
That's
now
okay.
we were talking football.
That's
there.
true.
Now,
That's true.
don't
Now,
blame
I
me
don't
too
think
bad.
any of these big time schools are going to do the free stuff, because they don't have issues with getting people in. And I've always given Mercedes-Benz obviously a lot of kudos for their fan-friendly fan-friendly menu with their prices being cheap, and I've witnessed that myself firsthand, and it's cool to see. So I don't know if Coastal's kind of modeling off that. I also kind of heard that the Mercedes-Benz pricing thing was a little bit copied off of Augusta National, and with Masters Week coming up next week, Augusta National is famous for their really, really great concession prices. $20 goes a long way on the grounds during the Masters, that's for sure. But yeah, so kudos to Coastal Carolina. Obviously, I think, James, you're right. I think it's probably getting more paid seats because they're flirting with that attendance line, because they've added on to the stadium multiple times since they went FCS, and I think they're just under 20,000 total seats right now. So again,
So it's like Tommy Oliver.
Is Tommy Oliver hold 20?
I don't know, but it's pretty big though.
It is
That's a
big
nice high school stadium. It really is.
Yeah,
it really is.
compared to everywhere,
Sports Illustrated said so.
That's true.
Yeah.
In Florida, top 25 in Florida?
Yeah.
We went over that one time. It was exciting. That was exciting. All right. Speaking of I did want to mention, obviously the talk of the torpedo bat situation, but a little more detail on Aaron Lienhard, who's the mastermind behind the Yankees
physicist.
torpedo bat. You were exactly right. He is he earned a PhD from MIT. We know that's an easy task to get done. He worked on the NASA-funded research team. He was a physics professor at Michigan for 7 years, if I'm pronouncing his name right. Lienhard then left academics at 40 years old to pursue baseball. He started at Dawson Community College in Montana before becoming a minor league coach for the Yankees. Lienhard then got moved to the big league club and was responsible for bridging the gap between the analytics department and the players by translating complex analytic data into actionable insights. Apparently, the torpedo bats were a big part of that. But like you kind of said, I don't know if you were joking yesterday or not, Dave, when you said that, but pretty much
What, MIT physicist?
a physicist, or you already
said
knew it.
MIT.
Yeah.
I was like,
You already
yeah.
knew. But
Yeah, do that.
yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool. And,
I mean, we didn't even talk about this on the
oh,
Afternoon
okay. I
Underdogs
know we talked
yesterday,
about it for a
which
good
is,
bit yesterday.
Well, it's wild too because Brian Haddad is a Yankees fan, so I definitely wanted to bring it
Yeah.
up. We just never
Yep.
got around to it. But moving that thickness from the end of the barrel to the sweet spot of the barrel, like if it's not against the rules, fair enough, But that's not how baseball bats have looked for a long time. I mean, ever. And Then I go back. I fight with myself, well, same way with golf. They've increased the face of the size or the size of the face of the driver.
Yep.
You go to hockey, right? They've added more curvature for the sticks, right? Like you can get your stick. If you're a defenseman, you're not going to want as much curvature on that. If you're a left winger, right winger, you're going to want more curvature.
The flex on the sticks is really what changed the whole game, because you had guys out there that were like shooting 80 are now shooting 95 because of the flex in those sticks. It's just crazy.
And the structure of the sticks just provides so much more power than the old wood sticks.
So if it's legal, great. That's fine, but it's still one of those things that it just kind of it doesn't rub me raw necessarily, but it's getting there.
Yeah.
And
well,
we just started.
It's so much talk about it, too. Like, it's just so much in the media and torpedo bats. But, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, they are legal. But, be interesting to see.
Hey, Ohio, Brad, sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
He says you mad the gloves don't look the same as back in the day, too. Like, okay.
Yeah, actually,
point,
make them play
Ohio,
with the
Brad.
old school gloves. Let's see what happens.
Fair point, brother.
Oh, no, that is a good point.
And again, it's getting to the point where I'm like, what are we doing here? But eventually, that's going to be more the norm than having a regular sized barrel bat. It doesn't break the rules. So how do you feel about it, James? We didn't talk about it. So
for me, the torpedo bats, go for it. Use it. Because what you're doing is you are increasing the sweet spot. So what we're going to see is we're going to see more home runs. We're going to see higher slugging percentages. But what you're also doing is you are taking sections of the bat. You're taking mass of the bat away from other parts of the bat. So you're not going to see like anything just like off the knob going out to left field, landing on the line. So you're going to see weaker hits coming off the bat as well. And you're going to just see more strikeouts because there is less contact area over the whole area of the bat versus just keeping it all in the sweet spot.
Yeah, whereas before, if you hit one off the end of the bat, it might bloop to right field.
Yeah, you could get that little blooper down the line.
Now it's not even going to get probably out of the infield.
Yeah, it's going to get to the third baseman, and he's just going to go whoop, and you're done.
Yeah. So, hey, there's a flip side of it, too. And we'll see how that all shakes out. Obviously, I'm sure there'll be analytics and studies and all that good stuff done off of this season and compared to what it looked like without the torpedo bats. But who's responsible for, does each individual team?
The physicist.
Well, obviously, he created this whole thing. But, if the Braves wanted to try, like, who would be responsible? Like
The player.
Okay,
the player. They get their bats.
Okay, gotcha.
And he could, James could speak to that probably. I know that you had some doings with MLB, like tracking pitches and whatnot.
Yeah.
So
And what it is, so like with the major league bats, especially when it comes to Louisville Slugger, because I've directly worked with Louisville Slugger on this before, is all major league bats are made one at a time in one machine. So it's like the team sends in an order, like this guy wants 50 bats this shape. There is one machine in that place that makes those bats, and they're made one at a time. Now, minor league bats are made in giant batches, but they still order the bats like they want. So, I'm sure you're going to see the torpedo bats make it down into the minor leagues. There's already guys on other teams using the torpedo bats. The Twins are already using it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I just think we should call the Twins the T's and take the win out of the middle right now, because they ain't doing it.
Oof. Speaking of rules, NFL owners have passed a rule that both teams will now be allowed to possess the ball in overtime during the regular season. The original proposal was for a 15-minute overtime with both teams being able to possess the ball, but that has now been amended to 10 minutes. So I guess that's now reflecting the playoff rule to a T, if I'm not mistaken, whereas before it was still kind of like the old overtime rule in the regular season. And,
Yes, same rule as the playoff, and I think that's how it should be.
Absolutely. The rules should not change between the regular season and the playoffs.
But in every sport, they do.
Yeah.
Every sport, they do. Outside of NBA, I don't think NBA changes their overtime rules any.
No,
it's still 5 minutes.
Five minutes, and so same way for NBA overtime, but in hockey, as we know, we play 3-on-3, then we go to the shootout. When you get to the playoffs, it's 5-on-5 for another 20 minutes.
And then you just keep on keeping
whoever
on
scores first, right?
Absolutely.
And so for me, I like this move by the NFL, especially. We're not hearing that the tush push has been banned. We're hearing
you said earlier.
Yeah, it's been tabled by the committee. So they're going to look into it again next year, just like what they did last year. They just tabled it, and it's tabled again.
Table it. Keep on tabling that thing until there's a reason where it becomes an issue with health. Outside of that, if it's because you can't stop it, figure it the heck out.
Yep.
Or it's because you're not good at it. Well, you can get good at it too.
You can get
Practice.
good at it, and you can also get good at stopping it. I think that's the bigger problem. Like, if I'm the Packers, I don't think that I'm worried about me not being able to do it because I don't know if I want to put my quarterback in that situation. However, who was the first team to play the Eagles this year?
Packers.
It was the Packers. And I believe, did they end up playing them in the playoffs, right?
Played them in the playoffs, too.
Yeah, exactly. So with that being said, you faced off against them twice as a non-divisional opponent, and you saw up close and personal how lethal that play was. And so now you want to go to the NFL and say, hey, let's get rid of this play. No, it doesn't work like that. How it works is get in practice, get as low as you can, and practice stopping the tush push. Until then, shut your daggum mouth.
There you go. There you go. And the Eagles will face the Packers on the road this year. So, little animosity rematch or
Not
matchup.
Brazil, right?
Yeah, not Brazil.
Not Brazil.
Not Brazil with all that green down there in the beautiful country of Brazil.
No green at stadium.
No. Best of Bay nominations is out. April 1st is officially here. I put the link in the comments of the profile, or you could just, go on our live show, or you could just go on Google and search it up. But please nominate all 3 shows here for, I guess last year we did radio personality, TV personality. So do those as well. We're trying to repeat here on the Inside Drive. And obviously we can't do it without our listeners and our voters out there. So we appreciate you voting us last year, but we need your help again this year. Coming up next, we've got Doc A, better known as Steve Alexander. Looking forward to talking about some of the happenings going on right now in the NBA, and there seems to be a lot of them. You got KD, you got Grizzlies coaches getting fired, you got fights happening out there. So we're going to talk to him about that coming up here in the next segment. You're listening to the Inside Drive. James Fife hanging out today, DJ Davey Crockett behind the glass. Inside Drive, we'll be right back.
The new app from 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is designed specifically for sports fanatics like you. The sports content you demand is always on. Live stream our national and local sports talk anywhere you go. Reach us on all social media. You can also be a part of the show. Call and text into our studios. Plus, up-to-the-minute weather and traffic maps. The new app from 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is available at the Apple Store and Google Play.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida with your Tuesday's weather. This afternoon and evening there will be a gentle breeze out of the south-southwest, mostly sunshine and 76. A variety of some clouds and slight fog tonight, about the same at 68. Tomorrow, slightly foggy in the morning and then some sun and a gentle breeze right around 11 miles per hour with a high of 79. About the same at 78 Thursday, and we'll have some sun. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Golf is a game that should be fun, but to have the most fun, you need to play your best. That's where the experts at Golf Plus come in. Their friendly staff will guide you through the buying process, answer all your questions, and can help with any repairs you need along the way. Golf Plus is your custom fitting, club repair, and golf retail shop. Golf Plus staff is non-commissioned and will work with you to find the best product for your game, just like they've been doing since 1988. Golf Plus in Dothan and Panama City Beach. Fitting, repair, retail. That's Golf Plus.
Visit the newly remodeled Mid-South Lumber Hardware and Feed Store in Youngstown. They have a full line of plumbing, electrical, hardware, and tools for your DIY home projects, as well as lumber and animal feed. Now offering not only baby chicks and a full line of poultry supplies, but also bunnies and parakeets. They also carry a wide selection of Duplin wines and gourmet products so you don't have to drive to the beach. Come see us at Mid-South Lumber on Highway 231 in Youngstown.
Now back to the Inside Drive, live and local from the Golf Plus studios. Now,
Doctor, my eyes.
Doc A joins the Inside Drive. It's just what the doctor ordered.
Oh, doctor! Talk to your doctor before use.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Real quick before we get to Doc A, the new K-ball rule passed per source, allowing teams to prepare them ahead of game day. Do you know what the K-ball rule is?
So that's the kicker ball, correct?
Oh, yeah.
So what they're doing is So we remember Deflategate.
Yes, of course.
So,
Of
we
course.
know that the NFL teams have their footballs that they use, and they can play with them before the game. Kicking balls used to just be the kicker's ball, and it was for both teams. Now they're letting each team have a kicker ball. They can
so it
they
was
can
a
do the
ball
weight. They can
used
do the
by
weight on it. They
Gotcha.
can shave it down. They can have bigger nubs, smaller nubs, whatever's comfortable for them.
I prefer the bigger nubs, but that's just me. That's just me. All right, but it is Tuesday. It's 11:20. One of my favorite guys we get to talk to every week, Steve Alexander, but better known to us as Doc A. Doc, how are things going in the 30 deep 30 deep fantasy basketball challenge?
Well, I got blown out in week
no.
one, like just dismantled. But it's a 3-week game.
That's right. That's right. So you're a little behind the 8 ball, but that's okay.
I'm down one. I'm off to a good start this week. I'm up 5-3, it's 5-3-1 that I'm up this week. He's got a lot of guys going tonight. I don't, but hopefully by the end of the week, we'll be going to week 3 all tied up at 1-1, and then we'll see what happens after that. But I've got a guy named Blake Wesley in my lineup that I could not tell you what he looks like. I've never seen him.
Hey, but if he's helping you out, that's all that matters, right?
Yeah, I've got some shady guys in my lineup, and then I've got some really good ones. Miles Bridges played really well last night. Kobe White's been on fire. Had a bad game yesterday, but got James Harden. So I got a chance. We just need to hold it together the rest of the week.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we appreciate you keeping us updated, and obviously next week we'll hopefully you've tied it, or you've at least got it close going into that third and final week, so you might be able to have a a back-to-back on the 30 deep fantasy gurus NBA Fantasy League, for lack of a better term. Real quick, jumping into some of the stuff that went down this week. Obviously, one of the big stories was the firing of the Grizzlies head coach. What do you think about that whole situation? Grizzlies general manager Zach Kleiman spoke this morning on the Taylor Jenkins dismissal and was asked if any of the players were consulted on the firing, and he said no, this decision was mine and only. So what do you think about that whole decision with the team in the playoff mix right now?
Well, Kamala and I were doing our podcast live when that news broke. And both of us, I literally looked at my camera, or I looked at my calendar to see if it was April 1st. And I was like, this has got to be a joke. We couldn't believe it. And then I immediately went negative and was like, oh my God, he's groped a woman or he's done something inappropriate.
For him to be fired just out of the blue.
Fired. Yeah, he's got a drug problem. Who knows what it is? And then Rick was like, "Oh no!" He's like, "This is all Ja Morant, brother." He's like, "Ja Morant got Taylor Jenkins fired," and then Rick, after that, he backed it up with, "You watch." He said, "Ja Morant's going to play in the first game after Jenkins is gone," and sure enough, Ja Morant came back and played. So they may not have consulted players, but Rick and I both think that Ja Morant played a part in this, because you just don't fire your coach 3 weeks before the playoffs start.
Yeah, especially when you're in the playoffs. I mean, right now they're holding down the 5th seed pretty well. They're half a game ahead of the Golden State Warriors, who are right behind them. But yeah, some wild news coming out of the Grizzlies there. And of course, want to get your thoughts on the big fight. I'm sure you talked about it with Rick, but a couple nights ago, the Pistons and the Timberwolves. Dante, your boy Dante DiVincenzo, Naz Reid, Ron Holland, Isaiah Stewart, Marcus Sasser, the head coach for the Pistons, JB Bickerstaff, and Wolves assistant coach Pablo Prigioni. If I pronounced that, I blew that yesterday big time. But what do you think about that fight? Kind of reminds me of the old heyday for the Pistons there.
Well, the fact that the two coaches squared off and were trying to fight each other was pretty awesome. Dante DiVincenzo was not playing around. The suspensions just came out. Do you guys have the details on those yet?
No, but we can search them up here real quick.
So Marcus Sasser got 1 game. Naz Reid got 1 game. Dante got 1 game. Ron Holland got 1 game. And Isaiah Stewart, with the classic crotch grab on DiVincenzo, got 2 games. But it reminded me of Malice in the Palace.
Yeah.
And the Pacers-Pistons fight. And the fact that it fell into the crowd and they were laying and fighting on top of fans had to be terrifying.
Those front row seats got a little extra action than they normally do on the game.
If you sit in the front row, I think you sign a waiver saying, bodies are going to fall on you. You get hit in the face. So I don't know that they have any repercussions, but I was just looking at those people, and I don't think you realize how big NBA players are until you're like standing right next to them. But to have those guys fighting and falling in your lap, it's terrifying.
Yeah, you could get hurt for sure. I mean, you got a 300-pound, 6'8" guy falling on you that may not feel so good. That's for sure.
Yeah, but what a fight! It was a classic.
It was. I don't know. I like it. I mean, it kind of shows, and me and James were talking about it earlier. It kind of shows they care and how much emotion and it's good to see that. Obviously, I'm a big hockey guy, so fighting has always been kind of a part of the game. It's a momentum switcher, and sometimes you just have beef with other players on other teams, and some guys are just jerks. But it was kind of cool to see the NBA get in on the old school NBA action. I mean, the NBA gets a lot of criticism for shooting too many threes and not really having a lot of post play anymore, but hey, little old school NBA there for everybody with some big time fight going on.
And then we saw a lot of passion in that Chicago win last week when Josh Giddey hit that half court shot.
Yes,
right?
That was unreal. That whole situation was epic.
Yeah, they outscored. Who did they beat? I don't even
the
remember.
Lakers.
It was the Lakers.
Yep.
It was LeBron and Luka. Of course, how can I forget the picture?
Yep.
I wasn't planning on talking about this, but they outscored the Lakers 9-2 in the final 12 seconds of the game. There's an epic picture of Giddey standing there you'd see the ball like 50 feet in the air, and LeBron's on one side of him, and Luka's on the other, and just the emotion that Chicago showed after that, that was a gutsy, gritty win, and they were all fired up, and it was just fun. I probably watched that video like 15 times.
Can you remember anything in your NBA viewership, however long you've been watching, obviously, for a long time, that crazy at the end of a game? Obviously, there's been tons of game-winning buzzer beaters, but not a situation where literally everything had in order for them to come back and win. And both teams probably thought pretty comfortably at one point that they thought they were going to win. And then, boom, Giddey just sticks the dagger in the Lakers' heart for an unbelievable victory.
Yeah, and ironically, the two that come to my mind are Reggie Miller's 8 points in 9 seconds or whatever that was. And then I was at the game where Reggie Miller pushed off of Michael Jordan in the playoffs and hit the three to win the game in Indianapolis. And the arena, you could feel the Raptors shake. It was just nuts. And those are probably the two closest things that I can remember like that.
Yeah,
and Lorenzo Charles, maybe NC State back in the day.
Nice. Very, very cool. Very cool. Yeah, but something we don't see very often. All right, Doc, we are closing in on the end of the season. Most teams either have 5 or 6 games left. Who's the most surprising team? I don't know if I've asked you this before. I'm sorry, but I'm going to ask again. Who's the most surprising team in each conference for you? And then I'm going to follow it up with most disappointing team in each conference for you.
Yeah, I feel like we've talked about this, but I don't mind talking about it again because it's cool. The Detroit Pistons are the number 5 seed in the East. I think they won, I don't know, 17, 14, 19 games.
It was less than
year.
20, yeah.
Yeah, it was really hard to see that coming. J.B. Bickerstaff's a good coach. He's in the running for Coach of the Year, except Kenny Atkinson is probably going to win it because of what the Cleveland Cavaliers have done, which I would say Cleveland winning the East is probably more surprising than the Bucks being the 5th seed. So Cleveland is probably the biggest surprise in the East. Philadelphia being so horrible, 23-52, eliminated from the playoffs. Joel Embiid, just a mess. The whole team, the whole Philadelphia team, like that was an unmitigated disaster this year. And then in the West, I think, The fact that the Sacramento Kings are as bad as they are is a little bit surprising to me. They're barely fighting to stay in the play-in tournament. So that would be, I think, my biggest disappointment. And then the biggest surprise would be the Houston Rockets being the number 2 seed. And that's probably where they're going to finish, in front of Denver, the Lakers, Golden State. That's pretty surprising and cool.
Yeah, absolutely. What about the Lakers? I think we kind of thought had an outside chance, and then obviously with the acquisition of Luka, certainly has brought them. Obviously, they're had a little slide there for a couple games when LeBron was out, but then he came back and they're kind of righting the ship a little bit. But certainly, obviously, are getting close to securing that playoff spot. But, obviously the Luka trade helped with that significantly, but maybe a little surprising there as well. Who's your most disappointing team in the West? So you said the Sacramento Kings?
It's the Kings. Yeah, they're bad. The Phoenix Suns are also a disaster. They got the big three with Kevin Durant, Brad Beal, and Devin Booker, but Coach Bud, Coach Budenholzer with the Suns, is basically being run out of town. The players don't like him. Now we got Kevin Durant out for a week. Devin Booker Bradley Beal declined his trade clause or activated his trade clause, whatever you want to say, to forbid them from doing any moves at the deadline, and the whole thing is just a toxic environment, and it's bad. So the future does not look very bright in Phoenix.
Speaking of Phoenix, and obviously you mentioned KD being injured, where does KD's career go from here?
Well, that's a great question. He's not going to be back with the Suns.
Yeah.
He's going to go end up with a contender next year, and he's going to be courted by a lot of teams, and he's in the twilight of his career. Like, it's winding down. He's got a big bald spot on top of his head. He's not the KD he used to be. He's still really good. He's still a really good player. He'd be a great guy to have in the locker room, and he knows how to win championships. So I don't know where he's going to go, but L.A. would be a great place. Put him with Luka and LeBron, that would be nuts.
What about like the Knicks or somebody like that? Do you think that's a possibility? I feel like they're a player or two from being really good contender.
The Knicks are weird though, because Tom Thibodeau only plays 6 guys. Like, everybody plays 40 minutes and he runs them into the ground, and he doesn't use a bench. Would he take KD? Absolutely he would. They've got OG Anunoby, who's actually been the number 1 fantasy basketball player over the last week, if you can believe that. But, yeah, I mean, I could see New York. I could see the Lakers just stick out to me. I could see Golden State even maybe going back to Golden State.
Well, be interesting to see what happens. Obviously, like you said, he is not returning there to the Phoenix Suns. All right, Doc, it's that time. It's the Doc A Picks of the Week. Last week you were 4 for 8. Previous week you were 2 for 4. So you've been kind of running on that 50%, which, in the betting world is pretty darn good. But I've got 7 games on the docket coming up tonight. So we'll start with the Trailblazers at the Hawks. The Hawks are -5 at home.
Hawks all day. Portland's a mess. Scoot Henderson's done. We don't know I don't think we know if Anthony Simons is playing in that game. I'm all in on Atlanta.
There you go. Next would be those Suns we were just talking about at the Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks are -6.
Phoenix is toxic. Even the Bucks without Damian Lillard, I'm going Bucks.
All right. Bucks minus the points. And then here's the biggest spread of the games coming up tonight. The 76ers at the New York Knicks. The Knicks are a 14.5-point favorite.
I'm taking the Knicks. Tom Thibodeau's Knicks. Philadelphia's trying to hang on to their draft pick. They're trying to not win games. And I just think the Knicks are going to blow them out. Although I do like, as far as props go, Quentin Grimes is playing against the Knicks. He plays for the Sixers now. He's going to try to put on a show against New York, in New York, and I think Quentin Grimes is going to go off.
So whatever
But I've
his
got the
point
Knicks.
total
I've got
is,
the
go
Knicks.
the over.
Yeah, I like the over on Quentin Grimes, and I like the Knicks minus 14.5.
Awesome. Next is, we'll call it our Orlando Magic. James, I know you just went on the old
We just
Magic
went.
Express trip, brought a bunch of fans here from the Panhandle down to Orlando in the, is that the Kia Center?
That was at the Kia Center. Had
yes.
a very wonderful suite right in the club level. Beautiful, man.
Very cool. I'm sure everybody had a wonderful time. The pictures looked awesome. But those Orlando Magic are -4 against the San Antonio Spurs on the road. Doc, what do you think?
Yeah, at San Antonio, I don't trust your Orlando Magic farther than I can throw them, but the Spurs are a mess right now. So I'm going to go with your Magic and Paolo Banchero.
All right, perfect. Spurs probably going to get a what? Where are they in the standings? What kind of draft pick are they going to get? Yeah, they're third from last. I mean, they'll be in the lottery, right? They could potentially get Cooper Flagg paired up with Victor Wembanyama.
Hey, there you go. They won't be victorious.
Yes. That would be some wild stuff there for San Antonio, and maybe an instant contender with kind of that kind of stuff going on. All right, 3 more games, Doc, real quick. We got the Raptors at the Bulls. The Bulls are giving up -4.5.
Yeah, I like the Bulls here. Matas Buzelis has been playing a lot better. Yeah, I like the Bulls.
All right, Bulls.
I need Kobe White. Kobe White needs a bounce-back game.
All right, next we got the Golden State Warriors -5.5 at the Memphis Grizzlies.
And we need to see if John Morant's playing in this game. This is a massive game because the Warriors can actually leapfrog the Grizzlies and drop the Grizzlies into 6th place in the West. And Minnesota, if they win tonight, they can catch the Grizzlies. So the Grizzlies have to win this game to stay in the playoffs. It should be a war. I'm interested to see if John Morant's going to play or not because it's a back-to-back, and he missed 6 games. But I'm going to go with the Grizzlies only because they have to win this game. But it's also a must-win for the Warriors, too.
All right, so you are...
Game of the night.
Game of the night. You heard it here.
There we go.
Heard it here. So when you got the Grizzlies getting 5.5 in this one, and if you were betting a money line because of how bad they need to win this, you might be taking the Grizzlies straight up as well. All right, last but not least.
Is it 5.5?
Warriors are giving up 5.5. Memphis is getting 5.5, according to Hard Rock Bet Anywhere here. Anyway, here in the state of Florida.
I saw 4.5. At 5.5. At 5.5. I like the Grizzlies either way. Sorry.
Okay. No, you're good. Grizzlies. Yeah, Grizzlies getting the 5.5 points. All right, last but not least is the Timberwolves at the Nuggets. Nuggets giving up 3.5 at home against those Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yeah, I mean, we got Dante DiVincenzo and Naz Reid both suspended. Jokic is going to destroy Rudy Gobert. Give me the Nuggets. I love that.
All right, that seems like given your voice, a very confident one in that one. So I may dabble into that particular one tonight coming up. But Doc, we appreciate your time as always. Hope your brackets are going great, and obviously we'll talk to you next Tuesday. Enjoy the Final Four games coming up this weekend and on Monday night.
Hey, I'm going to the Masters on Wednesday. Is anybody there going?
No, not this year. I'm planning on because I can get in with my PGA membership, but I would need another badge, and I've got somebody got one on hold for me next year. So I'm probably going to be making the trip up next year. I'm going to try to bring Liam to his first golf tournament.
Sweet, man. I will probably not be on the show next week, but I'll talk to you off the air about that.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, enjoy the Masters next week, and we appreciate you as always. That's Doc A. He is an NBA Fantasy Hall of Fame writer, a self-proclaimed golden tee hack, and a wagon wheel enthusiast. We appreciate Doc joining us every Tuesday at 11:20, going over our NBA action. You guys are listening to the Inside Drive. When we get back, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the new features of the Masters coverage coming up, and talking about the NCAA Women's March Madness Final Four, which is now set, and of course, the 2 Florida State players who are competing in the Augusta National Women's Amateur. You're listening to the Inside Drive. James Fife, DJ Davey Crockett. We'll be right back.
Your home for college basketball. ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Auburn Tigers advance to the Final Four. Wow. This Saturday, it's the Florida Gators versus the Auburn Tigers. Final Four coverage starts at 2. Tip off at 5, right here on your home for the Auburn Tigers and the Final Four.
And count it on the 3.
War Eagle. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Want to experience the ultimate car wash? At Tommy's Express, you'll love our open and bright tunnels, easy loading, flat belt conveyor, unlimited membership, and free vacuums and mat washers. Try us for free. Text WASH 415 to 86697 to send our best wash, The Works, directly to your phone. You'll love the sudsy clean, ceramic wax, underbody flush, spot-free rinse, and tire gloss. Experience the difference and visit Tommy's Express today. Offer valid to newbies only. By participating, you consent to receive promotional and information text from Tommy's Express. Message and data rates may apply. Message frequency varies.
Whether you're an experienced investor or first-time buyer, Beach House will provide you with top-notch service to guide you through every step of the process. We make the real estate process fun and easy through effective marketing, strategic advertising, and always a client-focused experience. From single-family homes to full-scale developments, Beach House Sales Development has you covered. Check them out at beachhousesalesfl.com or give them a call at 850-919-3500.
MLB is incoming, and you won't miss a game. Introducing Scorpion TV. Over 5,000 live streaming channels. Catch every game of the season with over 100 sports networks, including ESPN, ESPN Plus, the NFL Network, and Red Zone. Even pay-per-view events. Watch 400 local network channels from Panama City and most major markets. Fox, ABC, CBS, and NBC. Just $45 a month with our promo code ESPNNW. Go to ESPNPC.com and click the Scorpion TV logo.
Now back to the Inside Drive, live and local from the Gulf Plus studios. Spreads, picks, and parlays. Get the breaking news, insider angles, and expertise so you can run your game.
I told y'all to run that.
And now the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Almost sounds a little Def Leppard-y, this particular intro one. You listen to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Coming up April 7th through 18th. It's that time again. Pretty hard to believe. Felt like we were just talking about this last fall. But it's our next edition of ESPN Northwest Florida Presents The Race to You-Know-Where, Talladega. We have your chance to win tickets to the Jack Links 500 on Sunday, April 27th. How do you win, you ask? Starting Monday, the 7th, Coach James Hale Show from 7:15 join Coach James Hale on 7:15 and 8:15 to enter the race to Talladega. And then, of course, listen to the Inside Drive and the Afternoon Underdogs at 12:15 and 5:15. Listen for your name to be called. If we announce your name, you race to the phones. You guys know the deal. How long it takes you to call us is your qualifying time. Fastest qualifying time will win a pair of tickets to the Talladega Jack Links 500. And, one of the bigger parties out there, we talked to the Brian Crichton multiple times. I'm sure we'll be getting him on the air here sometime soon about how good of an event these Talladega, we'll call them a big party, but just another great contest here from ESPN Northwest Florida. Again, that's going to start on, I guess that's next Monday. Man, next Monday is April 7th already. That's pretty wild. But 7:15, 8:15 to Coach James Hale Show. He'll give you the keyword, and we'll get your name. And then at 12:15 here on the Inside Drive and 5:15 on the Afternoon Underdogs, we'll announce your name. You race to the phones. That's your qualifying time. Hopefully, if you're paying attention, you can get it fast. I know we've had some under 5, 4, maybe even under 3 seconds, which is pretty darn impressive. You can certainly get after it and get yourself an opportunity. Just head, about 4 hours up the road to Talladega Superspeedway? It's not too far.
Not too bad.
Yeah, absolutely. Just heading up Montgomery Highway as far as you can. Then I think you hit 65 at some point, and then you just bang a left on I-20, and boom, you're right there in Talladega. So, again, the Race to Talladega presented right here by ESPN Northwest Florida. So we appreciate you guys listening, and if you want to check out some more information on that, just head over to ESPNPC.com. David Hayes in the top 1,000 of the ESPN Big Bracket Challenge on the women's side of things.
Yeah, ESPN overall. Yeah.
Not a challenge we're doing, but overall is pretty darn impressive. I don't know how many total brackets there are, but I got to imagine that's in the top 0.01% if I had to guess.
99, yeah.
99.9.
99.9. Yeah, let's see who's at the bottom of our bracket, which would be
no, you're going to the,
she's 1.7 million at 50.4%. So at least a million people.
Yeah.
So I'm better than a million people. I'll take it.
Not too bad. And those the Final Four matchups are both now set on the men's and women's side. Didn't quite have the all number one seeds. It was close, but it would have been the first time, maybe ever, I don't know the details on it, that you had 4 number one seeds on the men's side and 4 number one seeds on the women's side. And as everybody likes to call that, chalky. Why do they call it chalky?
Well, chalk is like whenever, things are going according to plan, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know why chalk is.
I guess because they
term.
expect the number one seeds to, well, you know what I mean? If the number one seeds make it to the final, I guess that's kind of what you were just saying.
Yeah.
So that's why it's chalky. And I know, Kansas says rock, chalk, Jayhawk, but.
Yeah, I don't think it has anything to do with that.
Doubt it.
Yeah, probably not.
Nah.
Probably not. But I keep hearing that word being thrown around. I was like, why do they keep saying that?
Yeah, that just means that the favorites are winning.
Gotcha. So you're betting the chalk. Is that something you could say? Probably not. But anyway,
you can say that.
All right, I'm going to start saying it then. And speaking of betting, I do want to mention, if you haven't been doing it, obviously Hard Rock Bets is a sponsor here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Oh, here we go. Got my answer. Chalk comes from the old bookmakers at the tracks. The books write in the odds in chalk. So there you go. Thank you, Steve. We appreciate that. And I know we'll be getting you on the air here soon as we get closer to that Kentucky Derby in early May. Looking forward to hearing your capping action. We'll probably try to get Alan to jump on a little bit of that as well. But, 2 number one seeds in the one side of the Final Four, and then a number 1 and a number 2 seed. Not a surprising number 2 seed there, as the road to the Final Four has UCLA, who made their first ever Final Four. They beat LSU in a tight match couple days ago, back on what was that? That would have been probably Sunday. So UCLA advanced to Final Four as the number 1 seed, and then playing them will be the familiar foe of the UConn Lady Huskies, who beat USC last night 78-64. So UCLA will face UConn on April 4th at 7 p.m. unless this has already been converted to Central Time, which I'm not sure on that. So it's either 8 p.m. Eastern or 8 p.m. Central, but it'll be coming up on ESPN on the 4th. And then, of course, on the other side of it, you got the perennial, I don't know how many Final Fours in a row this is for, South Carolina back in there again as they, who'd they take care of? Oh, they beat Duke by 4, 54-50 in the Elite Eight. And then the other game last night was Texas and TCU. Haley Van Lith kind of held back a little bit by those Texas Longhorns. TCU only scored 47 points in that game. Texas won 58-47. So you got South Carolina and Texas. There will be the early game on the 4th, followed by UCLA and UConn. David, who do you have winning both of those games in your bracket? I'm just curious.
I have South Carolina, UCLA. So UCLA beating UConn, and then South Carolina beating Texas. Man, as it stands today, it's hard to go against UConn.
True.
And Page. But yeah, I'll stick with what I got, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, South Carolina has won a few national championships over the last 4 or 5 years, and they're back in the Final Four once again. Keith Dimmick, appreciate you messaging in. Happy birthday on April 11th. Keith, that's actually my mom's birthday as well. So
happy birthday, everybody.
There you go. I mean, it's April 1st, so we're, what, is it?
It's close enough.
We say 10 days, 11 days.
It's a birthday month, right?
Yeah, it's a birthday month, absolutely. Big month with a lot of stuff going on as baseball's getting rock and rolling. Finishing up the NCAA March Madness men's and women's tournaments, and that means one thing. We roll right into Masters Week next week. And I want to mention a little bit of some new action. One of the best apps for sports out there is that Masters app. You can literally go back and watch every shot hit by every player on the golf course if you want to. They're adding a new feature this year. The Masters has announced that viewers will be able to watch every shot from every single player on the driving range. But what's cool is it'll also include swing data such as distance, swing speed, wind speed, etc. So Masters obviously partnered with IBM and bringing a lot of technology to their coverage, which is pretty cool, especially if you're a big Masters fan, which most people who like golf always tune into the Masters, and a lot of people nowadays are just watching the Masters, or watching the majors. I believe David Hayes is one of those people that watches the majors, and
At least a couple of holes.
Yeah, there you go.
At least
Well, and I'm still planning on next Friday when Jay's in studio with me, doing the live, like pretending
There
to
you
be
go.
the radio coverage there for the Masters, which is some fantastic radio coverage. It was on 580 AM there in the Augusta area, the West Wing 1 coverage of the Augusta National Tournament. But Jim Nantz, what, 20... you said, what was it? He's 50.
20.
It'll be 50 years when he hangs it up.
Yeah.
So he started in 86. So that'll be 36. So
Yeah.
we got about
10 more years.
10, 11 more years with Nance. It's going to be weird when he's not doing it.
Because that's his last Masters, right?
Yep.
He came out and said it.
Yeah, that'll be, he's already, that's probably one of the earliest projections of when they're going to be done that I've ever seen from sports broadcasters. Usually they just kind of come out of nowhere and hang it up. But he's like, you know what? I'll give you an 11-year buffer on that particular retirement. But Jim Nance has been doing it for a long time, and you're starting to kind of see slowly some of these guys that have been doing it for a long time. I think last year was Vern's last year. He was always on 16 or 15, 16, and it was very emotional sign-off last year on Sunday when he finished his last call in the final group on Sunday. So, you're starting to see some of these guys have been doing it for a long, long time. And Jim Nance, obviously, certainly one of those doing it. Imagine being your first Masters coverage when Jack Nicklaus comes back with that 30 on the back nine and wins the Masters tournament at the age of, I think, 44 or 45. It kind of sets the bar pretty high.
Oh, yeah, and it gets you great tape, too, man.
Yes.
That everybody's going to listen to it and remember, like, oh, yeah, that's awesome. And for a first time, that's pretty much what you want out of life.
Yeah, absolutely. Peaked a little early. And then, of course, he had the Larry Mize chip in the playoff in the next Masters, which knocked Greg Norman off there. But and speaking of the Masters, it's not just the men playing anymore. Obviously, the drive, chip, and putt has been going on for a long time. That always happens Sunday morning right there at Augusta National. But the Augusta National Women's Amateur set to get underway tomorrow. And the reason why we bring it up is we were lucky to have the champion of the Augusta National Women's Amateur join us after she won last year. She wasn't the most talkative person, but she was probably still pretty excited from winning one of the biggest amateur, or the biggest amateur tournament in women's golf. So excuse me. Kudos to FSU player Lottie Wode, who will be competing to defend her title. Haven't had a defense of a title yet for the Augusta National Women's Amateur, but it's not just her that'll be playing in the Augusta National Women's Amateur. Kudos to Coach Amy Bond for having two players in the Augusta National Women's Amateur this year with Lottie Wode and also Mirabelle Ting, who has come on the scene at FSU and just been fantastic. She's actually overtaken Lottie Wode as the #1 amateur in the world. So looking for maybe another FSU potential victory in the Augusta National Women's Amateur. That gets started on Wednesday at a different golf course, but an absolutely spectacular golf course in Champions Retreat Golf Club. They've got 3 nines there, the Player, the Nicholas, and the Palmer. Beautiful course there. Very, very challenging. So a big treat for these ladies to play those two. And then what's cool about the Augusta National Women's Amateur, you have to make the cut to play in the competition, but everybody gets to play a practice round on Friday. So even if you don't make the cut, you still get to play Augusta National.
That's kind of nice.
That's very nice for getting them up there. So I love the fact that they do that, but it's a great amateur tournament to watch. It's televised, and I know a lot of people from up in that area as well that go watch that because you're watching literally the best women's amateur golfers in the world competing for a pretty prestigious title. But should you care, Lottie Wode gets started at 8:45 on tomorrow. That's Central Time Zone. That is the correct one, 9:45. In the Eastern Time Zone, if Port St. Joe, are they?
They're in the Eastern Time Zone.
They're in the Eastern Time Zone. So hey, staying in the Eastern Time Zone helps as well. And then before her, Mirabelle Ting will be getting on the golf course at 9:07 Central and 10:07 Eastern. So good luck to the two FSU Seminoles as they compete for the Augusta National Women's Amateur title. And again, maybe we can, with our connections with Amy, maybe we can get one of them, if they were to win, back on the inside
Get some
track.
winners talking. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was so much fun last year, being able to talk to Lottie after coming off such a huge victory. But I feel something special about the FSU teams this year and their bids for the national championship. Obviously, the women's team, I don't know if they made it to the final match play, and then the men ended up losing to Auburn in the national championship. But we got to take a quick break. Keith Fleming will be joining us today instead of tomorrow, and we're going to preview a little bit of the Augusta National, and then he will give his official lineup for the Vallejo Valero Texas Open. He may talk about a little bit how well he did last week as well. So you want to make sure you tune in to Keith and get your official DFS lineup in for golf. You're listening to Inside Drive. Keith Fleming will be joining us next.
Auburn fans, let's hear it.
This is an open three.
You've earned this one.
And he knocked him down.
ESPN Northwest Florida is your spot for the SEC champion Auburn Tigers. Congratulations to Coach Pearl and the Auburn Tigers for a historic season. And we're not done yet. The madness is just starting. Listen to the Tigers plow through the tournament right here. ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida with your Tuesday's weather. This afternoon and evening there will be a gentle breeze out of the south-southwest, mostly sunshine and 76. A variety of some clouds and slight fog tonight, about the same at 68. Tomorrow, slightly foggy in the morning and then some sun and a gentle breeze right around 11 miles per hour with a high of 79. About the same at 78 Thursday, and we'll have some sun. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Would you sell your business if the price was right?
Ready for a change? Want more time for family or just not enjoying it anymore? First Choice Business Brokers of Northwest Florida can help. Connect your business with serious buyers locally, nationally, and internationally while keeping the process confidential. Get a free, no-obligation business evaluation today. Call Natalie Kessler, broker, First Choice Business Brokers of Northwest Florida at 850-588-1025. First Choice Business Brokers of Northwest Florida is an independent franchise of First Choice Business Brokers Incorporated.
Powered by Panama City Toyota. Your home for Auburn Tiger basketball. WGSX Lynn Haven. WVLQ Port St. Joe. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Experience a higher level of service. David Adamson Designer Jewelry has been providing you the very best of fine jewelry and repair in Lynn Haven for over 32 years. David has added Amber Anderson and Russ Klinger, names you've known and trusted in PCB for years with your fine jewelry and watch needs. Find that one-of-a-kind engagement ring, that special anniversary gift, or something colorful just for you. Amber and Russ will find it or build it for you. Serving Bay County and beyond in Lynn Haven at the corner of Ohio Avenue and 9th. David Adamson Designer Jewelry.
Broadcasting from the Gulf Plus Studios. It's the Inside Drive.
Skyrockets in flight.
And now, the afternoon delight debrief with the three degenerates from the Inside Drive.
Afternoon delight.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Skyrockets in flight. Afternoon delight.
And welcome back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. 104.3 here in Bay County, Panama City Beach, Parker, Callaway, Lynn Haven, Southport, West Bay, anywhere around Bay County. We appreciate you tuning in on your dial on 104.3 and, of course, 101.9 down there across the old Central Eastern time zone border into Port St. Joe on 101.9. Again, we appreciate everybody that tunes in. And if you're on Facebook, do us a favor, give us a little share on that live show. We appreciate you helping get the word out about us. And then, of course, the Best of Bay nominations have started. So if you would, and if you feel inclined to, follow the link in the live show today, and you can give yourself an opportunity to nominate all of our great local shows, the Coach James Hale Show, the Inside Drive, and, of course, the Afternoon Underdogs as well. We appreciate your support. We appreciate your following. And with that, we love to give you an opportunity to save some serious cash on your TV or streaming services with our Scorpion TV offer. You just head over to ESPNPC.com. At the top of the page, you'll see the little banner ads, got Scorpion TV on it. Click that, follow the prompts, use code ESPNNW, and you only pay $41.99 a month, and you get over 2,000 streaming channels on demand, 10,000 movies on demand. It's baseball season, and all those regional sports networks carry those baseball games, and Scorpion TV has almost all of them. And of course, if you're a movie buff, they've got every movie that there's out there available as well. You can also head over to our Google Play or Apple Store, search up 104.3, and you'll find our free mobile app contests. Take us wherever you go, wherever your phone has service, you'll be able to stream all all of the wonderful ESPN Northwest Florida content. And as always, got to give a shout out to our studio sponsor. That is Golf Plus. 2 great locations right here in Panama City Beach in the Edgewater Shopping Plaza, located right next to Firefly. And then, of course, up there, not on Montgomery Highway, but on Montgomery Highway, a.k.a. 231, right there in the heart of Dothan. They've been around for over 30 years with fitting, repair, retail, everything you could possibly need and have done. And again, I always mention it, get fit. Even if you're not going to buy new clubs, get your current clubs fit. One thing, too, if you have forged irons, over time, the lie will change. The loft will change. At least go get your clubs checked out, because when you're out there playing golf, you want to make sure you got the right equipment in your hand. And I'm going to turn that over now to a gentleman who plays a lot of golf and a lot of high-level golf. And I hope I left you enough time, Keith, to do a little gloating here in this first segment. How you doing today? Keith?
Hello?
Hello?
Hello.
How's
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's just a little quiet and a little tinny.
Do you want me to try to call back?
Nah, well, I think we're good. He's like, all right, I'm calling.
Make your own rules then, cuzzo.
That's right. Hey, when you did as well as he did last week in DFS, I think he earned that right. But yeah, we'll get Keith back on the line. Keith, you there?
Is that better?
Yes, that is definitely better. But I was kind of joking. Hopefully I left you enough time in this first segment to gloat a little bit about your great week last week.
Yeah, it's a lot more fun to come on the show a week after, like last week, where we kind of nailed it from every perspective. I had a great week personally in DFS. If you checked out the DFS cheat sheet, a lot of the guys that I had included in that did very well, no matter the price range. We had the winner, which I recommended at 35-1, and Minwoo Lee, who he tried to make me sweat it a little bit, Ryan.
A little bit down
especially
that
after the JT loss the week before. I'm like, am I just destined to not get a winner this year? So I'm glad that that's over with. But we also had Wyndham Clark at 5-1 to top 5. That hit. And Joel Damon, which was one of my favorite bets. If you, again, check out that betting cheat sheet at plus 350 to top 20. So very profitable week. Hopefully a sign of more things to come, because golf, as we've discussed, used to be the best sport to gamble on. I still think it is, but they have really kind of taken away some of the value of the plays, and it makes it a little bit harder to find these. Like Minwoo Lee, for instance, hard to believe he'd have been 35-1 2-3 years ago with his record. He probably would have been closer to 60-1, but this is what happens when DraftKings and FanDuel and stuff take over kind of the betting world.
Yep, absolutely. A very profitable week. Hopefully everybody was listening. Yeah, he certainly tried to make it. But, you know, a bet just doesn't feel as good if you don't have to sweat it a little bit there down towards the end. Obviously, in these college basketball games, there's a lot of sweat going on in a lot of these games. But on the golf side, too, just, you know, makes it a little more exciting, a little more interesting for you. But
agree to disagree there, buddy. I would much rather win by $1 million. Because, you know, like the week before, I was already counting my chickens with Justin Thomas, and then you blink and he blows to Victor Hovland. So definitely glad to be back on the winning side. Want to talk, obviously, the Valero Texas Open, but if it's okay, I wanted to talk some futures, because there's a lot of bets out there. The NFL stuff dropped. If you got a chance to take a look at that, Ryan.
I got what you sent right here in front of me, but a little doc there going into the future, huh? Hop in the DeLorean and see what we can do.
There's definitely some, I feel like, value right off the bat. And let's start with some division winners. I am shocked the Houston Texans are getting plus odds in the AFC South. I understand that a lot of people think, well, the Jaguars, new coaching staff, you know, healthy Trevor Lawrence. I've seen all that before. I actually think the Texans kind of had the season from hell last year, and they still won 10 games, right? Like they obviously had injuries to Stephon Diggs. They had, injuries to Tank Dell. I understand that they, made some moves that probably people questioned, especially trading Laramie Tunsil to the Washington Commanders. But this AFC South to me is still a really bad division. I think the Texans are the best team in that division. I love the addition they made of Christian Kirk to play in the slot along Nico Collins. I like their new offensive coordinator. Bobby Slovic really struggled last year, and I mean, to be fair, was rightfully fired. So to get him at plus 100, but I think C.J. Stroud is going to have a big bounce back year and remind everyone why he was this rookie phenom. To get plus odds on him, I love that.
Absolutely. It certainly looks pretty appetizing. I wonder what it is on that. What book do you use? DraftKings for these odds?
I use DK Sportsbook, yeah.
All right. I'm just curious while you're continuing on here. I'm going to look up and see what these division winners are right now on Hard Rock, which right here in Florida is actually legal for at least till 2051, as they've got kind of the monopoly on that.
Yes,
yeah, absolutely. Did you know you could bet Mr. Irrelevant on NFL futures? And it's just a position that it is, but the kicker, punter, long snapper is plus 2,500. Interesting.
What is the lowest odds? Just
defensive line edge plus 325, followed by offensive lineman, wide receiver, corner, running, quarterback, linebacker, safety, tight end, and then kicker, punter, long snapper hold down the last one there. Cam Ward is
so
minus.
You got to be a real degenerate.
Yes, to bet that.
Yeah, I respect it.
Yeah, I do like. Man, there's a lot of good ones. First running. I'm not trying to take away from your segment here, Keith. I just got kind of distracted. Like, ooh, look it. There's a light. First drafted tight end. First drafted running back. Mr. Irrelevant. We already talked about that one. First drafted offensive lineman. So, man, Hard Rock's got a lot of action here for the draft coming up. We may have to dive into some of those as it gets a little closer. But anyway, division winners, let me get to what I was trying to do. Yeah, plus 100 for the Texans as well on Hard Rock. So,
what about the Detroit Lions? That's the other one that of the teams that won the division last year. Another team that I would make an argument had the season from hell when you look at all the defensive injuries, and yet they won 15 games. I understand it didn't end in the, obviously the best fashion, getting upset by Washington, but I am not somebody who believes the rest of that division is going to take this huge step forward like a lot of people do. Yes, the Bears should be better in year 2 with Caleb Williams, but can we realistically think they're going to win the division? Probably not. So that gets into the Packers and the Vikings. The Vikings, say what you will about Sam Darnold. He had a huge part in that team ascending the way they did last year, but I think that there's going to at least take a little bit to get that offense back on track, working with J.J. McCarthy, obviously, technically a rookie quarterback, even though he's in year 2.
Yeah.
And then the Packers, I'm just somebody that I don't believe they're quite as good as everybody else does. I'm not this huge believer in Jordan Love. I have more questions about him than some of the other quarterbacks in that division and other young quarterbacks. I don't like that they still do not have a stud number 1 wide receiver. This is not a draft class where there's really only one alpha wide receiver that most people believe in this class, in Tech from Arizona. And I just think that Detroit at plus 135, I think that they're going to be, a really good team again this year. Yes, they have a tough schedule, which they do. Playing a number 1 schedule is always no fun, but I think this offense is going to be even better. They're going to lean on Jamar Gibbs, and the defense has to be better. They're going to get back Hutchinson and a ton of other guys that missed a good bit of the season last year. I really like the value of a team that I think is going to be potentially even better as an entire unit this year at plus 135, when, again, I think those other teams still have some real issues.
Yeah, absolutely. So Hard Rock's got the Lions at plus 130, so pretty darn close there, with the Packers at plus 250, the Bears at plus 425, and the Minnesota Vikings at plus 475.
So the other 2 division winners that, again, they kind of stood out to me. I swear this is not just a homer play, but the Falcons at plus 250 feels like that is very doable. I mean, they've won at least 7 games the last 3 years, despite, we know, issues at the quarterback position. I think Michael Penix is going to allow their offense to be much more diverse this year, where they're going to be able to really throw the ball. We know Bijan can run it. And they're going to, I'm I'm sure, I hope, I keep saying I'm sure, I actually am not sure because it's the Atlanta Falcons, but I think that they're going to address that pass rush, which has been, we know, such a big deal. That's why I'm so mad still about, us passing on Jalen Carter. And we'll see what happens with Tampa, but once again, they lost their offensive coordinator, right? And I know that Baker has continued to play amazing football, but this is now 3 years in a row. He has a different offensive coordinator in Tampa. I do wonder if that's going to play a toll because a lot of people believe Liam Cohen was one of the best offensive minds in football. We saw this with, say, Shane Steichen with the Eagles a few years ago. Sometimes when these teams lose these offensive coordinators, they take a step back. The Falcons have a very manageable schedule. I think plus 250 seems like pretty good odds in a division that I think really it's just the Falcons and the Bucks and the Panthers and the Saints are a year away. The last team for a division is, and this is my favorite one, is the Rams at plus 175. Earmuffs, Ron. I'm sorry.
It's okay. 185 on Hard Rock. 185 on Hard Rock.
The Niners, right, like this is kind of a rebuilding year. Do you think that's a fair assumption?
100%. They've got 11 draft picks. They dumped half their team. They're going to have to pay Brock something here sometime soon. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, if they have a good draft, they still have good pieces. They still have Kittle, Ayuk when he comes back. Obviously, Trent Williams is happy or healthy and returning for another year. And obviously, a big question is Christian McCaffrey back to being Christian McCaffrey? So, if all the pieces fall where they're supposed to, I think the Niners still got a good shot of winning that division, but given how good the Rams looked in the second half of the season last year and the moves they made, and their defense is just so spectacular, especially with Jared Verse and who's the other one there that I can't.
They did basically what you're hoping the Niners do this year, where they nailed the draft last year, and we really saw that in the second half of the season. And I think, unlike the Niners, who are in a rebuilding year, the Rams are in a absolute we have to win now mode, right?
Yep.
They traded for Devontae Adams. They know that Stafford is on his last legs. And I like the Rams potentially to win the Super Bowl just in general. I love the addition of Devontae Adams. I think that he is still elite at getting open. If you look at whether it be yards per route run, his target accuracy, there's all these metrics that show Adams is still one of the top receivers in football. Now you're pairing him with Puka. Adams is going to play in that slot probably a good bit like Cooper Kupp, who I think we can all agree, at least by metrics, he's kind of lost his fastball, right? And I think that really limited that offense. Now you add that, plus obviously Kyron Williams. And then to your point, that defense, I think the Rams plus 175 is great value. And I think the Rams should be the favorite in the NFC. I really believe that.
Yeah, there you go. Get them in now while you can before it changes. Any other futures you want to talk about, Keith?
Yeah, just a couple of individual ones. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, it's that time of year. Go ahead and take advantage of it. I like the parlay of Mahomes MVP plus 750 with the Chiefs to win the AFC at plus 350. I think that if Rice and Worthy are both healthy and obviously not in legal problems, which we know that can be an issue, this Chiefs offense may get back to its roots, right, where you see these two electric players on the field, plus obviously they have Travis Kelce, Noah Gray, other weapons, Hollywood Brown. I just think that Mahomes is going to be on that scorched earth tour. And we see this every year where the Chiefs are doubted, or this year they're not going to be good. And they go out. I know they lost the Super Bowl last year, but they were still there. They still won, 15, 16 games. I really like the value in that. My boy Jalen Carter being 18-1 to win Defensive Player of the Year. If you look at the way that he, improved from year one to year two, I love the fact he's on the field all the time. And because of his position, if he can get just 6-7 sacks, right, which is very doable with his impact, because people talk all the time about how he's double-teamed more than any other defender, I think that there's some real possibilities of that being a winner. And then the final is Sean McVay at 30-1 to win Coach of the Year. I really like that. Like, if the Rams obviously are as good as I think, they have, say, the best record in the NFC or the NFL, that seems very doable. And I was kind of surprised to see him so far down on the list of Coach of the Year odds.
Yeah, no doubt. If they have the year you think they have, it might pair well with, 30-1 too, especially how good a job he did last year. I don't know. James, what do you think about the Rams and Sean McVay next year?
I mean, it's got a great opportunity for him. You know, all the players that they brought in, bringing in more offensive weapons, always a good idea in this league right now, especially when you're talking about a throwing league on the West Coast, where we see, I would say, a little bit more throwing than we see, out of the teams coming out of the, eastern part of the country. So I like McVay. I'm happy he stayed around because I remember he floated that whole idea of retiring, and it wasn't time for him. And I'm glad he stuck around. Great chance for Coach of the Year. Yeah, I'll go with that. 30-1 on that. That's worth a buck.
Absolutely. And speaking of those best bets there on Hard Rock, I don't think I ever got to mentioning it what it is today. Today your bonus bet is you got to do the Warriors, Magic, Bulls, and Timberwolves all to win, or the Grizzlies and the 76ers to win. And what's pretty cool about these little things, you can just bet $1, and what happens is if you hit it, you get a bonus bet. Like today, they're giving out $250,000 in bonus bets. Yesterday, it was close to $400,000, and I actually hit the one. It was Georgetown versus Washington State. Each team to score 82 or more points, and I just did a $2 bet. It won $10, but it gave me a $60 bonus bet. So that was pretty cool, which Keith went and put on Rory McIlroy to win the Masters at plus 650. So we'll see. Hopefully, I'm definitely going to be rooting for Rory this weekend coming up. And Keith, that parlays right into kind of your Masters futures. Maybe let's go over a couple of those, and we'll probably run into our break.
Sure. Yeah. Again, it's really difficult for an event like this because there's a limited amount of people that can win the Masters. We know that each year. Yes, there's the surprise Zach Johnson winners, but overall, you have to be one of the better players in the world typically. You have to have length and everything. So I'm looking for potential values. Ashleigh Biate at 60-1 came in his first Augusta appearance last year, finished 24th. He absolutely has the game for it. I love these top 10 in strokes gained putting this season on tour because he is known for his iron game. To see him putting so well, obviously that could play huge there. Robert McIntyre at 80-1. He's another guy that he's only had 2 trips to Augusta, made the cut both times, top 25 in both. I think his game really fits this kind of course. And then the last one, Patrick Reed at 90-1, to me is very, very intriguing. We obviously know Reed has a stellar record at Augusta, not
He's
just
a cut-making machine at Augusta National.
I think he has 5 top 10s now at Augusta and like 12 appearances there. And then I like what I see on the LIV Tour and also the DP World Tour. Like he is playing on obviously both of those. He just recently qualified for the Open Championship where he went into an event knowing he had to finish top 3 in order to automatically qualify for the Open. He did. And Reed has the kind of game where if his irons are on, because he's such a good putter, and he just is able to scramble so well around Augusta National, I think he has a great opportunity to win. And at 90-1, that's that LIV tax, right, that we were talking about the last couple of years, where in what world is he 90-1 with his record and everything, or Phil, for that matter, being 200-1 right now? I can't wait to see what his top 5, top 10 odds are as we get closer to the event, and they add those as well.
Absolutely. Be interesting to see where John Rahm lands with that LIV tax this particular year. Obviously, he's not having a massive year on the LIV Tour, but anytime you've won the Masters before, I think that gives you a significant advantage. Keith, real quick question before we take a break. I was talking about it earlier. So you know how the Masters app, basically you can go back and watch any shot from any player on any hole. Now they're adding a feature where every player, you can watch every swing they make on the driving range. Will you use any of that information, how they're striking the ball, obviously their swing speed and that kind of stuff, from their range session before you make a bet, maybe for a player in that particular round?
I would potentially, for like head-to-head, it would be nice. Like, I'm sure you could see how they're hitting the ball. But overall, no. It's something I will definitely use because it's just so cool. It's like one of the best apps in the world, not just golf. I still go back 100%. And look at previous events and stuff, but I know that for me, and I'm not a professional golfer, but there's days I'll go out there and I'll hit it terrible on the range, right? and have a great round, or vice versa. And I think these guys are the same way, right? I don't know how much they really lean into whether or not they're having the greatest range session ever, and if that makes a huge difference on the golf course.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, and us as casual golfers, your range session before you play a round of golf should simply be a warm-up session. You work on your game outside of days you're playing the game of golf. Keith, we got to take a quick break. Keith Fleming on the line. You can follow him on Twitter/X at Keith Fleming, KeithFleming. We'll be back breaking down the Valero Texas Open when we get back.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Your exclusive home for March Madness.
And it goes for the win!
We'll bring you every game live. It's the NCAA Men's Basketball Tournament, college basketball's premier event, and it's all right here.
And the dream is alive!
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
The dream, yes!
Good afternoon. This is Joanna with your weather forecast from ESPN Northwest Florida on this Tuesday. Mostly sunny the rest of the day with a wind at 9 miles per hour coming out of the south-southwest and 76. Tonight, look for some clouds and slight fog with a temperature near 68. Tomorrow, a high around 79 and slight fog in the morning followed by some sun. Thursday, hot with a high of 78 and some sun. This weather forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
PCB Hobby, the beach's premier hobby store for sports cards, comics, coins, and trading card games. PCB Hobby carries the largest selection of boxes and packs from the latest releases of brands like Topps, Panini, Leaf, and more. Looking for a specific player or team? PCB Hobby has a wide assortment of raw and graded cards. They carry parallel rookie, game used, and autographed cards in both modern and vintage. Have a collection you want to sell? We buy, sell, and trade. PCB Hobby on Back Beach Road, just east of Florida Linden. Call 850-320-8388.
Dreaming of your perfect Florida home? Whether you're buying or selling, I'm here to make it easy. I'm Terry Callahan with Anchor Realty Florida, and I've helped many folks from first-time home buyers to retirees find success in the Bay County real estate market. I'd love to find just the right home and neighborhood to match your family's needs. Let's make your dream home on the Florida Panhandle a reality. Call or text me, Terry Callahan, at 850-919-5025.
Broadcasting from the Gulf Plus Studios, it's the Inside Drive. Welcome to the Inside Drive, the next big thing.
It's a big, huge, giant deal.
Sports betting, huge reactions, your calls and real-time coverage of the stories you're following on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Currently joined by my co-host on our 2 Off the Tee podcast, which is coming up tonight, I believe 8:30 here in the Central Time Zone. Got a little basketball game to go to beforehand, so it's delayed just a little bit. But that is Keith Fleming. Again, you can follow him on Twitter/X if you want to find out all his great betting content. They got cheat sheets, they got official lineups, they got all sorts of stuff on fantasy6pack.net, and of course all that information he shares on his Twitter page and has great content on his TikTok page as well. Keith, let's talk about this week. I know it's the Texas Open before Masters. A lot of guys are not playing in it. This past week's Houston Open, a little bit more of a, like we talked about last week, a comparable venue to Augusta National, and then this one's just very different. And a lot of guys, as I was mentioning to David earlier this week, or maybe late last week, a lot of the guys will get to Augusta National this week, play some practice rounds with some members. A lot of people will, play on Friday or Wednesday, Thursday, Friday when the Augusta National Women's Amateurs over there at Champions Retreat. And then, of course, they can't play on Saturday because the Augusta National Women's Amateurs final round is on that Saturday. And they can get out there on the golf course on Sunday. They just got to stay away from hole 18 in the morning where they're doing the drive, chip, and putting contest. But yeah, so let's talk about the Valero Texas Open coming up this week. It's just tough because the tournament before you're going to look forward as a fan and probably even a golfer too.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, Rory is already at Augusta, was on the grounds playing a practice round yesterday. This is an event that I would pay close attention to the guys who are not already in the field at Augusta, because if you win this event and you are not already, punched your ticket to the Masters this year, you will get in the field for next week. So that's huge. This is the Valero Texas Open at TPC San Antonio. Very long course, par 72, 7,400 and change. It's a full field event. 13th toughest course on tour, 5th longest. It plays over par at plus 0.02 scoring average. You got firm and fast conditions, a ton of bunkers, which are a big deal this week, elevated greens, tricky pin locations. The wind will be kind of the X factor on how deep these guys go. Toughest par fives on tour, average of 588 yards. So, it's a drive, chip, and a putt. A lot of big numbers. Third most double bogeys or worse on tour. Typically, people who have found success are guys that are not wild drivers but have distance, elite wedge, short iron players. Again, stand scrambles, huge, aggressive par 5 scorers and bogey avoiders. These are Poana greens running 11.5, 12 on the centimeter. The rough is kind of non-existent. It's not quite as much as last week, but 2.25 right fescue. And then Kuchar was quoted as saying he thinks it's a wonderful spot just before the Masters. There's nice topography here, nice undulations, nice kind of change of elevation. You got to drive the ball well, and then approach shots have some characteristics similar to Augusta with the elevation and runoffs and the collection areas. He thinks it's a nice warm-up for the Masters. A lot of guys did not agree because we don't have a huge field. I think there's 11 of the top 30 players in the world, but looking at some recent chins, there's 13 players in the field with at least 2 top 15 finishes at this venue over the last 5 years. They're Charlie Hoffman, Hideki, Corey Connors, Siwoo Kim, Jordan Spieth, Sam Stevens, Matt Kuchar, Gary Woodland, Brandt Snedeker, Zach Johnson, Chris Kirk, Ben Martin, and Adam Schenk. And you see right there, it's a mix of players. Some of those guys have length. Some of those guys are ball strikers. Some of them are scramblers. You have 10 players who have made the cut each of the last 5 years, at least 3 starts. That is, again, Connors, Hideki, Bo Hostler, Siwoo Kim, Jordan Spieth, Vince Wally, Brent Snedeker, Lanto Griffin, Ben Martin, and Aaron Badley. And the top 10 in strokes gained total at the Texas Open. That means how they have played this golf course for their career, again, are Hoffman, Jordan Spieth, Corey Connors, Sam Stevens, Denny McCarthy, Chris Kirk, Akshay Biate, Aaron Badley, Gary Woodland, and Matt Kuchar. This is the 5th most predictive course on tour. And what that means is guys who have had success before typically have success again. It's something we'll see at Augusta in 2 weeks. The key stats I looked into this week, strokes gained approach is huge. It's really a second shot course. Good drives gained, fairways gained, strokes gained around the green, and also sand safe. There's a ton of bunkers. Bogey avoidance. Again, you don't want to make those big numbers. Par 5 scoring, with it being the most difficult par 5s on tour. Strokes gained putting, and then strokes gained total with high winds, and obviously course and comp course numbers. You would suggest that TPC San Antonio, again, it's a second shot course. It serves as an approach and around the green contest. If players don't take themselves out of play by just hitting it wild off the tee. So if you look at guys on fairways gained and bogey avoidance over strokes gained off the tee to weed out erratic drivers, 7 players ranked top 40 in all 4 of the main categories of strokes gained approach, strokes gained around the greens, fairways gained, and bogey avoidance. This is a good list. Hideki, Bud Cauley, Andrew Putnam, David Lipsky, Daniel Berger, Patrick Cantley, and Kurt Katayama. But, again, the short game stats is a big deal. 12 players ranked inside the top 40 in strokes gained around the green, scrambling, and sand saves gained. Hideki, Cantley, Berger, Kitayama, Michael Kim, Andrew Putnam, Harry Hall, Matt Messnier, Seamus Power, Alex Smalley, Matt Kuchar, and Taylor Moore. The ideal player for this week should excel, obviously, on this course with it being the 5th most predictive. You want driving accuracy. It's not a huge deal, but with the tree line courses, it can kind of prevent you from obviously having a good approach. And then again, the big thing, strokes gained approach, strokes gained around the green, and bogey avoidance. There are 11 players who are above average in all of these categories. I like all these names. You can talk me into any of them. Tommy Fleetwood, Hideki, Keegan Bradley, Daniel Berger, Corey Connors, Patrick Cantley, Bud Cauley, Steve Woo Kim, Brian Harmon, Alex Smalley, and Andrew Putnam. For my official DK lineup this week, I don't like betting Corey Connors this week. His odds are just too low. He's 15-1 to win, but that doesn't mean I'm not okay with anchoring my DK lineup with it at 10-1. Connors at this event, 25th, 1st, 35th, 14th, 1st, and 26th. And his most recent starts here. And then he's playing really well with a 3rd at Bay Hill, 6th at the Players, and 8th at the Valspar. He is somebody who excels at ball striking. We know that. He's top 20 in strokes gained off the tee, greens in regulation, par 4 scoring, and then he's top 40 in strokes gained tee to green and bogey avoidance. So I do really like him this week. Ashe Biate, the defending champion, I got to include him. He's 9,300. That feels like a real value on DraftKings. He, in the last 2 years, finished 46 2 years ago, obviously won last year. He's another guy that enters in really good form, 9th or better in 3 of his last 4 starts. And it's because he's just playing really good golf. He's 43rd in strokes gained approach, 26th in green and regulation percentage, 31st in bogey avoidance. But the big thing for me, again, that 9th in strokes gained putting, and he plays the par 3s and par 4s so well, which that could be a big deal. Again, these are the toughest par 5s on tour, and he's currently ranked 2nd in par 3 scoring and 18th in par 4 scoring. So I like him a lot. Bud Cauley, who you notice his name was on a lot of those lists we were just talking about, he's 8,300, playing the best golf he's played in a long time. He's 35th or better in 6 of his last 8 starts, including obviously that 6th at the Players a few weeks ago, and followed up with a 4th at the Valspar. He is a guy who has a pretty good track record at this event. He hadn't played in a while, but has multiple top 40s. His best finish was a 10th back in 2020. He is currently top 35 just across the board in strokes gained numbers, whether it be tee to green, off the tee, approach, around the green, and putting. He's 2nd on tour in proximity, 30th in scrambling, 34th in bogey avoidance. He's also very good on the par 4s at 8, so I really like Bud Cauley, 8,300. Your boy Gary Woodland's at 7,800.
It's great to see him finish tied 2nd last week.
Right, like it just makes me feel good. He, went through obviously something similar that you've gone through, and you better than anybody can only understand what it entails, and just the mental and physical wear and tear. So to see him getting back to the Gary Woodland who won the U.S. Open at Pebble all those years back. He's finished 22nd or better in 4 of his last 6 starts. Obviously, as you mentioned, he runner-up Houston. This is a guy that has destroyed this course. He's only played it twice, but he finished 8th and 6th in the 2 years he's played it there. And his ball striking numbers show that he's back. He's 4th right now in driver distance and 12th in proximity to the hole. I think Woodland is a great play this week and a real value at 7,800. The next 2 guys, Eric Cole, who is 7,200. He is somebody who struggled last year after a really good rookie season, and all of a sudden he's starting to play well. He is somebody who has only played this event twice, missed the cut, finished 39th the other one, but he comes in with consecutive top 15s at the Houston Open, at the Valspar, and he is somebody that just really makes a lot of birdies. He's 12th in total birdies. He's somebody who can scramble, top 60 in that, and he's 26th. He's 30th in proximity, so he's also hitting his irons very well. I really like that. And then Victor Perez is quietly at 7,100, really putting on a very good season for the young Frenchman. He is top 55 in strokes gained tee to green, off the tee and approach, 13th in driving accuracy, 38th in green and regulation percentage, 31st in scrambling, like just all the stuff you want, 16th in bogey avoidance. He's top 40 in par 4 and par 5 scoring, and he finished 22nd or better in 3 straight and then finished 45th in his only appearance here at the Valero. So I think that he's got a great chance as well. That's the official DK lineup. It's Corey Connors, S.A. Biate, Bud Pauly, Gary Woodland, Eric Cole, Victor Perez. Just some bets to win real quick. I mentioned Biate, 25-1. I like that. Berger is 35-1, another guy that's just in great form. Woodland, 50-1. Eric Cole, 101. Brian Harmon, 75-1. But the value this week, in my opinion, is in these prop bets. You can get Hideki Matsuyama at plus 400 in a weak field to top 5. I like that.
What?
Gary
4-1?
Woodland, 4-1. You can actually get Hideki at 2-1 to top 10, which I think is an even better value. That's my highest bet this week in terms of unit on my best bets. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's, to me, I understand, what is his motivation, but it's kind of a weak field, the Corset approach. That's Hideki's game. He's so good around the greens. Again, Hideki's game. We know his track record at Augusta. I like that a lot. The top 10, again, too, Woodland and Collie are both 4-1. Cole is 7-1. And then the top 20 is really where there's value. You can get Chris Kirk at plus 275. He is somebody who's played well at this venue historically. And then, again, Victor Perez plus 280, Eric Cole plus 320. This is a really weak field overall, and that's those weeks I usually look at like the top 10 and top 20 bets.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of, I was going to ask you that question on what you're looking for in these particular stuff, but you kind of said it there. When you have these weaker fields and big field events, you can find some serious value in those top 5, 10, and 20 props, and some of those numbers look pretty appetizing, so I jumped on them while you were talking. All right, Keith, before we let you go, who do you like in the 2 Final Four matchups, and who do you have winning the national championship with who is remaining?
So I had Auburn-Duke on my sheet. Obviously, I'm going to stick with that. Unfortunately, though, for Auburn, I have them winning on my sheet. I don't think that's how it's going to go. I can't get over how good Duke is. This may be the best team I've seen in the 2000s when you encompass their size. I think that everybody's 6'6" or taller for many of their lineups that they run out there. And they were a team that was so good defensively all year, but their offense has came on so much in the last couple of months. And then Cooper Flagg is just the real deal, right? Like everything that we have been told about him is true. Your boy Broom, I wish he was 100%. What was the final word on what happened with his arm? Did they say?
I think he's fine. I think they're saying he's about 80%. Yeah, I mean he's good to go for the Final Four games. But is he really good to go? I mean, watching that live and then the replays, it looked terrible. I mean, he hyperextended both his elbow and his knee at like the same time. That's just bad luck there. But luckily he came back in, and obviously I think if they were worried about hurting it even worse, he wouldn't have came back into the game. But Duke plus 105 right now, obviously the odds-on favorite to win the national championship. Florida plus 270. Houston, whose defense looks spectacular against Tennessee, plus 400. And then Auburn has the highest odds right now at plus 500. With still, all they got to do is win 2 games, so that 5-1 value is pretty darn good. But I think we're going to have 2 fantastic games. But yeah, I would definitely say Duke is the team to beat right now. But if there's any team out of these 4 that could beat Duke, I would probably obviously put Houston in there because their defense is being so good. So the matchup should be a lot of fun.
Auburn though has the size though too, right? Like, which is such a big deal. Like Auburn's got size.
They do. Dylan Cardwell,
really
Chani Broom, Denver Jones. They got a lot of guys that can hang with, and they're relentless. Bruce Pearl, he's just got these guys playing with so much grit right now, and sometimes that goes a long way in the tournament. But Keith, that's the end of our time today. Looking forward to jumping on the 2 Off the Tee podcast tonight with you, talking some more DFS stuff, talking some Masters action. Where can everybody find that information?
You can find it obviously on my Twitter or Blue Sky. Those are the same.
That's right. You're a Blue Sky Express car wash guy now.
FLE. That's right. MMING. And then obviously you can find all my stuff at fantasy6pack.net. You can either look it up under my name, that has all my articles, or if you just go under the DFS betting section of the website, it'll have my most recent articles.
Awesome. Well, Keith, we appreciate your time as always, and looking forward to talking to you later on tonight.
Absolutely, guys. Have a great day.
All right. Thank you, Keith. We appreciate you as always. You guys listen to the Inside Drive final segment on this Tuesday afternoon coming up next.
ESPN Northwest Florida. The NCAA Men's Basketball Championship Tournament plays here.
4-3. Got it.
Listen to the madness.
The San Diego State Aztecs, for the first time, will head to the Final Four.
March Madness continues.
Miami is going to the Final Four.
Exclusively on ESPN Northwest Florida.
The two-handed slam. Yep.
With over 65 years of combined experience, Instant Replay Sports Cards is happy to help you take your collection to the next level. They carry all the new hobby boxes, signed memorabilia, and supplies. New and vintage cards and Pokemon. They sell and trade cards and are always looking to buy. They're an authorized source for Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, and Leaf cards. Instant Replay Sports Cards is open 7 days a week at 752 West 23rd Street, down from Academy Sports. It can always be reached at InstantReplaySportsCards.com.
Beach Pizza, formerly Marcy's Pizza, is back with more hours and more pizza. Beach Pizza has new owners and now open every day, 11 to 11. Pizza by the slice, whole pies, wings, pretzels, garlic knots, and more choice eats in East PCB. I finally tried a slice, and it was a thin crust, totes, cheesy slice of paradise. 8815 B Thomas Drive, online at beachpizzapcb.com. Call ahead, 850-775-4053.
MLB is incoming, and you won't miss a game. Introducing Scorpion TV. Over 5,000 live streaming channels. Catch every game of the season with over 100 sports networks, including ESPN, ESPN Plus, the NFL Network, and Red Zone. Even pay-per-view events. Watch 400 local network channels from Panama City and most major markets. Fox, ABC, CBS, and NBC. Just $45 a month with our promo code ESPNNW. Go to ESPNPC.com and click the Scorpion TV logo.
Now back to the Inside Drive, live and local from the Gulf Plus studios. Join the best of day winning Inside Drive with all your lines, props, and covers. Winning on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Hey, and welcome back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. All right, our final segment on this Tuesday. I know James Fife will be with you, Brian Haddad on Thursday, and then James back in studio on Friday, as I'll be making a trip up there to North Alabama to check on my mother-in-law, if you guys would. We appreciate all the support, the prayers, the thoughts, but keep her in your thoughts and prayers as well. But we'll be heading up there tomorrow morning bright and early after we drop the old kiddos off at school. So, James, I appreciate you filling in for a couple days. Obviously, you are a wealth of knowledge in the sports world, and looking forward to you hosting a couple of the shows this
Excited
week.
to be here.
Absolutely. And speaking of shows, don't forget, jump over there to the Panama City People's Choice Awards, or Community Choice Awards, I think is the appropriate term, where you can nominate the Inside Drive, the Afternoon Underdogs, or the Coach James Hale Show for either radio personality or TV personality as well. We appreciate the nominations. We'll keep you updated as things progress. You got to get nominated in order to be voted on. So step one of that process is certainly getting nominated. So we appreciate you if y'all would help us with that situation. All right, James, let's talk about, so obviously we talked about the overtime rule already. Now both teams will have the opportunity to possess the ball in the regular season overtime to match what they do in the playoffs. Some of the other things that have transpired, either been approved or not approved, NFL owners have also now approved proposals to expand the league's replay assist system. Obviously, that was something new last year, where they were just trying to make some of these reviews on plays that might have looked like they could have went either way, just quicker to keep that game moving faster. So I guess they're expanding on maybe what that replay assist system can do and look at. So hopefully that'll benefit the game, as I think it did help out last year.
It sped it up.
Yeah.
I think they still need to speed up the replays a little bit more, because they can get a little bit longer, but having that extra official just sitting up there with that extra set of eyes, not only extra set of eyes watching the game, but extra set of eyes watching how many, 30, 40, 50 cameras that we have at every single NFL game that they can go back and look through. So I like it. They are still not going to let those guys up there have a flag thrown, like, hey, you guys missed it, throw a flag. It still can only happen when an on-field official throws a flag.
Gotcha. So if the on-field official throws the flag, then the one upstairs
then the one upstairs can be like, yo, this one's right, or you might want to upgrade this one to a 15 over a 5, or something to that effect.
Gotcha. And speaking of the automatic first downs, 15, 5s, 10, 20s, whatever they may be, Detroit's proposal to eliminate an automatic first down penalty on both defensive holding and illegal contact did not pass, despite the Lions' pleas to make that happen. So obviously, that's kind of we were talking about it off the air in the last break, kind of an interesting one. The illegal contact is obviously, those are the holding, defensive holding, and the illegal are so brutal because it's the automatic first down. But at the same time, they're trying to make the game more offensive, et cetera, et cetera. So the defense, just has to be a little bit more aware. What do you think about them upholding that particular situation?
I'm glad they're not going into like a college rule where it is just an automatic 15 and a first down.
Yep.
Just because I can see in the NFL, those guys are quicker, smarter, faster. You'll see a wide receiver or a D-back out there going, man, this guy's blowing past me. Go ahead and tackle him. It's only going to be 15 yards, not 60 yards and a touchdown.
Yep.
So, and as for the automatic first downs, I'm not big on it on like a defensive holding where it's only a 5-yard penalty.
Yeah.
And say, the offense already had a 15-yarder for a false start or a 5-yarder for a false start. They're at 15 yards.
Yep.
Now a defensive, just like an outside linebacker can grab onto a tight end for half a second.
Yep.
And they get 5 yards, but also the first down. So not huge on that one. I'm bigger for it for like more of a full out pass interference call, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, obviously that's been upheld, and I think they're going to look at it maybe again next year. And then on the kickoff amendment there, the proposal was separated into 2 votes today, one that passed and one that was tabled. The football now moves to the 35-yard after a touchback. That one passed. Was it on the 45 last year?
30.
30.
So they're going 5 more yards.
So they're going
out.
5 more yards.
I kind of like that because now that matches, a kick out of bounds penalty.
Yes.
And I really like that. I think that will encourage more returns, which is what I think the league wants. Yeah. I kind of like it. The new return system, I enjoyed it. I would actually like to see more of it happening, and I do believe this will be one of those cases where coaches will now have to think about it a little bit harder. Do I really want to give them that extra 5 yards, or let's kick it and see what happens?
Absolutely. And this one's going to upset old DJ Davy Crockett back there. No vote at this time on the onside kick modification. It will be picked back up at the May meeting. So it could still go into effect before this season, but as of now, no modification has been done to that. And I've always agreed with you in this sentiment. Being able to not have that kind of surprise onside kick took a little bit away from the game within the game as far as the NFL is concerned. Obviously, some of the big moments when the Saints did that in the Super Bowl that one year, and obviously maybe it'll be changed. It's just how do you change it so the team doesn't know? I can't figure that one out on my mind.
That one is the tough part of it, man. And they're sticking with this, but they have to figure out an element.
Yeah, I agree.
Where even if I don't know, maybe you squib kick it, and if it goes 10 yards past where the offense is, or where the kickoff team is, then you get the ball back. I don't know. You got to figure out some way, though, even if it's just this. All right, so onside kick is incredibly tough to recover.
Yeah, in general, yeah.
All right, so then you go for it on the 45, and you've got to get to, on your own 45, you've got to get to the opponent's 45 or something like that. And if you don't, get the first down, then the opposing team takes over in near plus territory.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
and so that's not surprise. It's not a surprise factor. It's not maybe as exciting, but you have much better odds of getting the ball like that. But we've got to figure out ways for teams to be able to get back in the game. Removing the onside kick, I think, is. I mean, come on now. That's such a beautiful part of the game.
Because right now you can only do it in the fourth quarter.
In the final 2 minutes, right?
You have to tell everybody, hey, we're going to do this.
You have to announce it.
Yeah, which kind of makes it obviously a little bit. And, teams could always tell before based on your formation when you were lining up for an onside kick. But if you don't go into the onside kick formation and you just have a couple guys out there, that could be surprising.
I mean, that's how the Saints picked it up.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe they have to kick the kickoff through the uprights and they'll get themselves a onside kick. You'd have some advantage, obviously, the Cowboys.
So you kick it through the uprights to get the opportunity to kick it onside?
No,
kick?
To get you get the ball back.
That's
I'm
like
just throwing out as wild as.
How about you got to hit the upright?
Ooh, there you go. There
I like
you go.
that.
The crossbar
I like
at the
that.
uprights.
You got to hit the L. You got to hit right there where it
the
connects
90
at the
degrees.
crossbar.
You got to get the ball to stick just straight in there.
like a
there you
basketball
go.
shot.
You
You
gotta
get it
wedge
stuck
it.
in the rim. Yeah.
Well, that'll never happen.
Yeah, so we might as well just stick with what we got, I guess. But we already mentioned the tush-push conversation has been not made a decision on that one yet. It'll be brought up again probably next year as it was tabled. An NFL Christmas triple header. NFL will play 2 games on Netflix that day before Christmas nightcap on Amazon. So we'll still have 3 more Christmas days. 2 on Netflix during the day, 1 on Amazon at night. I know the viewership on that last year during Christmas was massive, so not surprised that they brought that back. All right, since it's my last day in studio this week, let's talk and get some picks for the Final Four on the men's and women's side. Obviously, we'll start, and I'll go over the spread. We're just picking straight up because now we're here in the Final Four, so really the spread shouldn't matter, even though there is indeed spreads. All right, let me find. All right, those are college basketball. That's not what we're looking for. That's NIT. All right, here we go. All right, so Florida and Auburn. Florida a 2.5-point favorite in that game, but again, we're not picking against the spread. You're just picking a winner. James, we'll start with you. Florida or Auburn?
Florida is still looking good to me. Florida is still scoring, and it is the team that I have winning the championship, and I've basically only got one team left, so to save my bracket, let's go Gators.
Florida it is. All right, David Hayes, what do you like, Florida or Auburn?
I could care less about the bracket aspect of it, even though if I was, kind of still in the running, then I would care a little bit more. But being that I only have 2 of the Final Four teams left, I'm still going to stick with it, though. I want to see I would like to see Florida beat Auburn. There's the ESPN Northwest Florida side of me that would like to see Auburn win.
Yeah.
That's not a very big side of me at all.
Imagine that. Imagine that.
I'm going to go with Florida. I'm going to stick with Florida.
Yeah, I definitely think Florida is probably the better team in this game, but I like how Vegas has got the spread within 3, so I'm going to take those Auburn Tigers. I've been riding with them all season long, been talking about them. We have Brad Law every other Tuesday, and looking forward to hopefully talking to him potentially next week about a national championship. But they got to get by those Florida Gators first, but I got to take the team that I've been rooting for all season, the Auburn Tigers. All right, the other side of the bracket, this game should be a fun one, despite the spread being a little bit bigger. Duke is -5 in this one, over under 136.5. David, I'm going to let you go first. Houston or Duke?
This kind of for the same reasons as before. I mean, I have Florida and Duke going into it, and I think that those are the 2 best teams. I would love to see Duke get upset, but at the same time, I think they're if not the best team in the tournament. Give me Florida and Duke and the Natty.
There you go. There you go. James, what about you?
So didn't watch a whole lot of college basketball this season outside of the SEC, outside of Conference USA. And I didn't watch a lot of Houston or Duke until the tournament started. And I got to say, watching Duke, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Though that team is good, that team is big, that team is quick. That's the thing with me is they got a bunch of big dudes, like everybody's over 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", something like that.
Yep.
They're still quick. They're still getting open shots. They're going to be a hard one to take down. Give me Duke.
All right. I like it. Obviously, Vegas and everybody's thinking they're the best team in the country, but I'm going to go with that defensive prowess of the Houston Cougars to hopefully upset Duke. It's kind of a selfish thing. If Auburn can find a way, obviously Auburn's the second game. Actually, or are they the first game? I think the first.
Auburn, Florida 509.
Okay. So they are the first game. So if Auburn can get past Florida, I think I'd rather have them have to play the Houston Cougars, as they have played all 3 of these teams this season and lost to 2 of them and beat 1 of them. And the one team they beat early in the season at the Maui Invitational was the Houston Cougars. So I'd love to see Houston upset Duke. So I'm going to pick Houston in that one. All right, next we got the 2 women's Final Four games, and that is UCLA and UConn. I'll pick first in that one. I think UConn, Page, they find a way to get past the number 1 overall seed UCLA Bruins. James, what do you think?
I'm going with UConn. Just the history of UConn, just carries me through with it.
Absolutely.
Give me the Huskies.
Take Geno and the Huskies. David Hayes, what about you?
I'm going to stick with what I have from the get-go. I'll go UCLA.
The Bruins. All right. And then last but not least, South Carolina versus Texas. David, you start us off on this one.
South Carolina.
USC. Go Cox. I think I have to go with the Dawn Staley-led Gamecocks as well. Until they falter, I think you got to keep going with them. James, what do you think?
South Carolina, 5 Final Four in a row now. That's impressive, man. Until you knock them off, they're the winner.
Absolutely. So Florida, Auburn, Duke, Houston, UConn, UCLA, 2 South Carolinas, and 3 South Carolinas. I just put USC down for 1 instead of South Carolina, so I confused myself because Southern Cal, I think, was the original USC, if I'm not mistaken, or they usually go by SC as well, though. But anyway, we appreciate you tuning in. Again, we got the Afternoon Underdogs coming up at 4. I will not be here the rest of the week, James. Again, I appreciate you filling in on Wednesday and Friday, and Coach Brian Haddad will be filling for me in on Thursday. Our normal guests coming up on Friday as well. We'll have Joe Bond and Aaron Bearden joining the show as well. And, of course, make sure you tune in to ESPN Northwest Florida. If you are on the road this Saturday and want to hear those Final Four games, as they will both be right here live on ESPN Northwest Florida. Lots of great stuff coming up. And then, of course, the National Championship on Monday of Masters Week, which starts next week. Lots of Masters Week coverage next week. Looking forward to my favorite golf tournament of the year. You guys have been listening to The Inside Drive. James, appreciate you hanging out with me today.
Thank you.
David, have a great rest of your week, and appreciate everything you do. Afternoon Underdogs at 4 p.m. Y'all have a great rest of your Tuesday.
Braves are back.
Here comes the throw. It's late. Braves win.
And ESPN Northwest Florida is your exclusive radio home for